this over and over and over again. We need international cooperation and collaboration to actually have any chance of reducing worldwide emissions. And I want to talk a little bit about Canada's role in this. Canada, as was mentioned before, is one of the top 3 emitters per capita in the world. We have a responsibility to help develop the technologies and the solutions that developing countries can then use. We have the responsibility to bear the first cost of that. Because over time, if we think about the wealth that this country has generated on the backs of fossil fuels over the Industrial Revolution, we have to think about not only the yearly emissions, but the emissions that have already been done. And Canada has more than enough of its fair share of emissions that have been done. Who are we to tell the developing world, you know what, we have our quality of life, we're good, but you can't increase your quality of life with more energy production. So it is incumbent upon us to help them leapfrog fossil fuels and move to a point where we can have a sustainable and renewable future where they don't need to exploit fossil fuels to have an increased quality of life. So how will our government help build momentum internationally to do this? Well, the Green Party is a global party. There are other Green parties in other countries around the world. And I'll give the example of the Green Party in Germany, which is poised to form government. So the Green Party is a party that isn't just confined to one nation, but rather is international in scope, and it is aligned along one purpose. And the question that you ask about the neoliberal agenda of consumption, the Green Party isn't an uber capitalistic party that is arguing for consumption at all consumption's cost. Far from it. In fact, I should mention that much of we forget in the 3 R's is the reduce and the reuse. And in fact, the recycle most of the time isn't even true. Only about 10% of the materials that we put into the recycling is actually really recycled. So, I don't know how to respond beyond saying, would you rather we don't invest in clean technologies? Would you rather we don't have an innovative economy? Would you rather that we let other countries do that and then export their technologies elsewhere and further diminish Canada's international stature on the world stage because we're being too neoliberal? Which again, I think you need to explain a little bit more what you mean by that.
Do I get to?
I'm not clear. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. A definition on what you mean by neoliberal would be.
I think what this stems from me watching a lot of Phil's. I've read a lot of Phil's work. I've read his research. I've listened to his videos. They're accessible in public. Anybody can watch and listen to them on YouTube or wherever else they appear. And I consistently hear the word wealth, and I consistently hear the word prosperity. And I think I just want to ask him once again. I think we're all moving towards, we all want to create a world that creates wellness, inclusion, and prosperity for everyone. But my question again for you lies in, the pursuit of science doesn't necessarily lift everybody up in an inclusive way. The pursuit of science often can be exclusionary and if not prejudicial against certain populations. And as you said, we're asking third world countries to sort of get with a program that was ours and a legacy that we left them. And I wonder who might be being left out of your programming as you move forward.
Well, first, I'll say yes. Wealth,
very briefly, okay? You're falling behind.
Sorry, wealth and prosperity are, of course, things that we should be striving to do. And then secondly, the pursuit of science gave us vaccines to COVID-19. The pursuit of science gave us the internet and the ability to communicate with each other instantly, which we're doing right now. The pursuit of science is how we progress as a species. And the pursuit of science is how we're going to be able to reduce our emissions. So I'm sorry, but as a scientist, I can't help but feel attacked. And I'm surprised that there would be such an anti-science stance from the NDP. So I'll leave it there.
I'm actually not anti-science. All I'm saying is that what I don't hear in the science portion of it is the social science part. That we are actually investing at the same time in a caring economy, that at the same time that as we are, recovering from COVID and the pandemic, that we, you know, I hear you about science, and science is supposed to be this panacea for all things, but I'm going to tell you right now that the enormity of the disparity of poverty and wealth in Canada just keeps growing. And I don't see science resolving that problem right now for us. I don't see science being able to apply a Band-Aid to this increasing disparity in wealth outcomes and prosperity outcomes for Canadians and globally. I don't see that. I mean, I'm not anti-science by any stretch, don't get me wrong. I think that science and innovation is going to help us along. We need these technologies. We need your technology. Your carbon sort of synthesizing technology is crucial as an innovating factor in getting us along in this climate emergency. But my problem is that often when I hear both the Liberals and the Greens talk about the end result for our initiatives together and as a society, that the focus is often on wealth creation. And in the past, what I'm noticing the Liberals, that the wealth creation has created an enormous disparities in our
Well,
Thank you, Sydney. And Phil, I'm afraid I can't allow any further discussion because I think we're falling behind in our program. Carolyn.